Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make the sides of the box. I already have a top and bottom made. I'm going to go ahead and make the sides of the box, and I'm going to put them together in an assembly. So anytime I start a new Inventor part, I'm going to open a new part. I'm going to go File, New, and I want to do a part. I have to be very careful what I select here because there's a lot of different things here, but I'm going to do a standard part, which is an IPT extension. So go ahead. Double click on that, and I'm going to go ahead and make a piece of a box. I'm almost always going to start with Start 2D Sketch. I'm going to go to Start 2D Sketch. I'm going to pick a plane. It does not matter which plane I would pick for this purpose. I'm going to pick a plane, and I'm going to make a rectangle on that plane. Up here I have line, circle, arc, and rectangle. Those are all 2D functions. By picking rectangle, I'm going to come down here. I'm going to left click at the origin. Hopefully it's going to start. I'm going to drag it out a certain distance and just click. I didn't worry about the distances because I'm going to go ahead and dimension them now. It's a good time to get a feel for your mouse. If you roll in forwards, it will roll your view backwards. If you roll backwards, it will go in. But you zoom in and out with the rolling mouse. I'm going to go ahead and hit dimension. I'm going to come over here, touch this line and go up to there. And then I'm going to make that 4.5 inches. You notice that it got bigger and jumped off. I'm still in dimension mode since that's still there. I can click on this line and this line, drag out. I'm going to make that 4.5 inches. At this point, I have a 4x4 square. I'm going to go ahead and finish that sketch. Now, all it is right now is a flat square, so I want to give it a 3D depth. But to do that, I'm going to do what's called extruding. If I click on extrude, it goes to automatically 1 inch, but I only actually want to go to 0.25 inches, which would be a 1/4 inch. That's the thickness of my MDF. So what I've just made is a object here that is 4.5 inches by 4.5 inches by 0.25 inches. This is a pretty common measurement on our boxes. I could change the color or the actual what it's made of right now if I wanted to go into the materials. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to leave it just kind of a generic gray cluster. I'm going to go up here and I'm going to save as. File, I'm going to save as, and recall that now that we are going to be using the solid state drives, I need to make sure that I am saving it in my Google Drive, not somewhere else. So I come down and it's already going to my Google Drive file stream, which we uploaded yesterday, my drive, and then I actually have a class or a folder in there called IED. So that's going to be the proper side or the proper place. I'm going to go ahead and call it box side. And hit save. So I've made a piece. Alright, and I've also have a top and bottom previously made. So now I'm going to do a new thing. I'm going to make an assembly. I'm going to put these things together. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to put File, New, and I'm going to open a new type. Last time I opened Part, this time I'm going to open Assembly. It's standard IAM. It's right here. It has the IAM extension. And I'm going to place, and it gives me some options. So I'm going to have to go to my Google Drive stream. I'm going to go to my drive. I'm going to go to IED, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in the box top and bottom. Now, I'm rolling in and out. That's what that's happening. I'm going to go ahead and just put one right there. And I'm actually going to add another one because I'm going to want to do that here. And then right click and hit cancel. When I look at that, I see that I can move these freely. If I'd like to right click on one, I can ground one of them. I'm going to right click on the top one and ground it. And what that'll do is it'll keep it still so that won't move. This one will move around it, however. I'm going to go ahead and bring in my sides now. So I'm going to go place, and I'm going to go to bring in side, open. I'm going to go ahead and put that and that there, and they're all actually the same size, so I suppose I could have just made one, but I wanted to make that again. Alright, so I'm going to attach these at this point, and what we're going to do is it's called constraining them. We'll do a lot of different constraints as we go through. We'll get quite advanced. It's not too terribly difficult in the case of this, but it'll be a little bit tough, okay? So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put this side and this side, I'm going to attach it to the top of my box. And I'm going to come up here to this constrain command. I'm going to hit constrain. And the default is what's called a mate constraint. And that will, I think of it as a dab of glue. It will make two surfaces together and make them touch. So I simply have to tell it what two surfaces. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click on that. And then I'm going to have that say it has to touch that. And it kind of pops together. I have my headphones on because I'm screencasting, but now all of a sudden those will always be on there. I'm going to hit apply and cancel, and you're going to see that it still can move. But if I look here, what it can't do is move up or down. What it's doing is moving forwards and backwards. So I want to restrict it so it can't slide back and forth like that. So I'm going to do that with what's called a flush command. A flush command, bringing two things flush, and it looks just like that. Looks like it'll keep two surfaces equal. So I'm going to tell it to make sure that that plane and that plane always stay flush. I'm going to hit apply. Now I'm down to I can only move one way, which is, when I go to that home view, it can go that way. It can't move any other way. I can't drag it. So all I have to do is flush this front face and this front face, and it will stop moving. So I'm going to do that. Flush. Come here, flush and flush. And now all of a sudden that is constrained. You can see it as a box that would go together. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing quickly on the other side. I'm going to use a mate constraint for that surface, and top right is that box is called the navigation cube. It's a big help. So I got one constraint. Now I have to do two flushes. Whoa! I don't know what I just did there. I gotta reconstrain that. I think it went a little crazy on me. So flush. Come over here. Click on that one and that one. Alright. Apply. Cancel. Now I'm going to two more constraints. I'm going to flush it front. And it's almost always going to take three constraints to remove all the degrees of freedom of movement. Go ahead and flush this and this. I'll hit apply. And the last thing I have to do is simply put on the bottom. So I'll go and constrain that. I'm going to make the bottom of the side to the top of the bottom. That's the first one. I'm going to go ahead and flush the fronts so that they don't slide. Apply, and then I'm going to flush this side and this side. Now by doing this, our box is completely locked together. Obviously I'd put in a back piece that I'd have to make, but you can see that I am indeed all locked together now. And if I wanted to do my measurements, what I asked you to do for me, getting the cut list together, I could, I'd want to go save as here. So I'm going to be careful when I save, manage my files. I want to make sure it's going into my IED folder, which is in my Google Drive, and rather than assembly 1, I would call it my box assembly. File management is going to be a very, very big deal. Save it in there. Now, if I were to do a drawing, I come over here and I find drawing. The drawing, I can go and place my base. It automatically goes to the box. I'll make it a little larger. I'll make it 2:1. I'll move this up a little bit. Hit OK. I can go ahead and do a projection if I'd like. I can project it up there. I'm going to put that on there. Hit create. And then if I chose to carefully annotate this, I can go from that line to that line, and I could draw that out. Now, I'd want to go in and, I'll do it right now. I'll go into Manage, Styles Editor, and change the size of my text, make it a little larger. So close, and that'll be, so I can see that there's my 4.5 inches, and this is a very good way. So I'm relatively skilled, but in less than 10 minutes I was able to set this up, and you would be able to do this. You obviously think about how long it took you to draw your box by hand versus how long we can do in here, and then the quality of this is much better. And this will eventually become our simulation. Through constraints, we can put in a cam and we can watch the action of our follower. So this is an extremely powerful tool when it comes to building our automata. Alright, and I'm looking for the stop of the screencast. Does anybody see that? Hopefully this isn't going to be too terribly awkward. Oh, there it is.